listen to it was raining. But when we were teens, we enjoyed a lot of boating together. Our family, we had a speedboat for like water skiing and tubing and stuff like that. And we also had a little sailboat with Sunfish, like 15 foot one sailboat. So we used to go out and have a lot of fun. Well, I remember this one time, Nook and his cousin David Struby, we were out sailing with the Sunfish, and we had this place we used to go over. It was called Sand City. It was like in Ireland, a couple miles away on the Sound. And they would fill up the 17 feet, like a cooler full of ice and beer. As long as you didn't tip over, it was okay. But they made it over to Sand City, and all of a sudden, I guess the wind died, and with no motor on the boat, of course. So I remember being home, and then we got the call. Mom got the call. I'm over at Sand City, which is easily a 45-minute drive around the other side of the harbor. And luckily we have a station wagon, because not only did she have to pick them up, but she had to put the boat in the back of the car. So she wasn't happy, especially around dinner time. And there was no cell phones back in the day. So I know they had to swim to the island and then walk about a mile to a payphone and call her. But that was a good time. This song was music always been a big influence on my life. Growing up, he always made sure we all had good stereo systems and we shared a lot of the same record albums. When he started doing gigs, we get into some pretty cool shows, which came with the backstage passes. A few, for instance, was Live Aid, Madonna, Talking Heads was a great one, The Who and The Clash, the Bob Fest at Madison Square Garden, just to name a few. And by that time, I had worked my way with a bunch of his friends that I could just show up at any Grateful Dead show, which was over 125 of them, and just say his name and I'd get a backstage pass to the show. Actually, I'd get 3 of them. So that was always a good decade for me. I really appreciated my presence.
That's awesome.
I remember it was about a year after our mom died. Luke and I joined our dad and my Uncle Norm on a guy's sailing trip around the Virgin Islands. And we were having a great time. I remember laughing with them. We saw this young girl chasing a goat around a mountainside the whole day. We're sitting on the sailboat, 40-foot sailboat, watching this girl. And my dad's like, "What are you laughing at?" I go, "Look at this guy." And she's like, until he told us, "Oh, that's your dinner that girl's chasing." I'm like, sure enough, we had a goat stew that night. It was really good. And this happened to the weekend of my 21st birthday. So when I wanted to fly home that Sunday night to my girlfriend who was awaiting me, they happened to have a snowstorm in New York. So we were stuck in Puerto Rico in the Caribbean. And I had a good 21st birthday. No matter how sad I was originally, but we did go find a local Rasta man and have a good time. Probably the biggest impact Nook ever had on my life. I call him Nook, sometimes I call him Rick, sometimes. Sorry if I go back and forth, but that's just what it is in my life. Biggest impact he had on my life was back in 1996. I just finished my time at drug rehab in Florida. Nook was living in Lake Tahoe. He didn't think twice about wanting to help me, and he flew to Florida and drove with me cross country to Tahoe, where he invited me to live with him. He introduced me to all his friends, sold me his Jeep, and helped me to get his job as a stagehand in the local Reno Union. We shared that joy of snow skiing on the fresh powder, and introduced me to his best buddy Hal, who after Nook left, me and Hal became best ski buddies and actually taught him how to ski.
Tell me how to ski great.
Essentially, he saved my life by giving me a new start with him. I was proud when Nook stood up for me as my best man, and years later, I'm forever grateful to him. And that's what I